already fully charged. I'm like, what's all
about
this attitude
space.
this morning, man? Oh my God.
So welcome everybody to the program. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Carvey.
Good morning, brother.
What's happening, y'all? What's up?
Man, it is good to be here with you.
Good to be.
All of this shade. It is rude.
With you, I want to say, emphasize you. I'm so glad you're here. And it's after 9, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That part.
that part.
Yes, sir.
I haven't heard that in a while.
Right.
Yeah, that part. Anyway, phone lines open, y'all. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. I didn't see this text until this morning, and someone said, I think I mentioned yesterday that Moses did not get in the promised land because he was old. And someone texted me. Now, I know there were reasons God said he wouldn't see the promised land, but he did die, which means he was old. He was old. So, yeah, he didn't make it. He didn't cross over. I don't know if anybody watched the speech last night.
Yeah, I saw it.
What did you think?
I thought he looked extremely old. Weary, tired.
Yeah.
Just want to run through this last 6 months and fade off into the sunset. You know, thank you for the 50 plus years.
Drop the mic.
But hell, I'm tired.
You know, Obama looked 16 when he
went in office.
8 years later, he gray.
Yeah.
It put some years on you. Man, you got the weight of the world.
Yeah.
So anyway, 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. Fate would have it. I was by my mom's house last night, and she was talking about this, and I was surprised at how she took it. You know, she said, well, you know, he's old. Now her whole thing was, we knew it was old the first time we elected him. That's my mom's position, right? But I heard something Eddie Cloud said this morning. He's a Gen Xer. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know, boomers just won't get out the way. You know, that's why you hear him buy boomer. Yeah, boomers just, and he said, Eddie Cloud, he said that he believes that boomers are the greatest generation of all time, but they just won't leave. And I'm a boomer. I'm at the end of the boom, so I'm a boomer.
I'll tell you what I did walk away with, so to speak, in that speech. He all but told you he was forced out.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, he never once said, he said, I'm doing what I think is right for the party and for the country.
Well, I heard my colleague say this morning that, you know, she's kind of taken aback sometimes about the behavior.
Who's your colleague?
Huh?
You got a colleague?
Yes. C. Michelle Bryant. And she was saying, but
Michelle
Bryant.
What's the C for?
I won't divulge her government name on radio, so she keep running it.
Oh, I know you wasn't gonna say.
You see her standing by the door. Yeah. I wish he would.
Go ahead.
You know, look on her face. She said over there, she kind of eased a little bit to her right.
That's just her regular look.
No, that's her stage. She's staging.
Oh.
She coming at me when she started moving. Carvey, block her.
Carvey, keep her calm.
No, but you know what? Politics is business. Politics is warfare. And though people want to say that, you know, there should be ethics and people are in it to win it, you know, and so I'm not surprised. Was he forced out? Yes.
Well, he all but said it. I never once heard him say, I decided not to run due to my age and so forth and so on, my health issues. I never heard that. Did you hear that?
And I was reading a great article yesterday, and it said it was another octogenarian, is that how you pronounce it, who came to him and said, it's time to go. That was Nancy Pelosi.
Who still got her job, but
Hey,
anyway.
I'm a fan of Nancy Pelosi.
But she's not the president of the United States.
She still has her job as a congressperson. She is no longer in leadership. She's no longer in leadership. behind the scenes she is, but she's no longer
She
in the
pulling the
leadership.
strings. She pulling
Oh
the
yeah,
strings.
she's pulling the strings. There are a lot of people beholden to Nancy Pelosi, but it wasn't just Nancy. I think he's a little salty with Obama, but it seems like the relationship between Obama and Biden was probably not as close as, you know, there were issues. There was a reason why Obama decided to go with Clinton as opposed to Biden in 2016.
Mhm.
So that's a little interesting piece. They did say that he was a little bit upset with Nancy Pelosi, but sometimes, man, and I know if you're older, this can be troubling because the question is, you just threw the old guy out. That's how the Republicans are painting it, that they just threw the old guy out. And I'm thinking that, so was the alternative, and some of the same people, though, who are sitting up here complaining about the treatment of Joe Biden, were people who are probably going to stay at home anyway, right? Because, you know, the notorious couch. So, and that's why I say I have been really struggling the last 3 days, just trying to understand, where was this some pent up enthusiasm that people had? Were people being loyal? Because, hey, you know, and when you look at it, Joe Biden is going to go down in history as having one of the most consequential, positive, can I say positive, consequential elections or presidencies in terms of what he's been able to do. So again, phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. I was telling Michelle, I do the hard work around here, so I had to endure an hour and 40 minutes of Donald Trump lying and making up facts and just going off. And if people want to sit up and say that there's not some acuity issues with him, mental acuity issues, I don't know what you're looking at. But the thing, so we'll see. Maybe this has stemmed the tide of all the black men that were going to go vote for Donald Trump. Caller, welcome to the program. Oh, which one is it? Caller, welcome to the program.
Yes. Hey, good morning there.
Good morning.
This is Lefty. I like the conversation. I just wanted to chime in on the Biden situation and why he withdrew. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, Biden is not healthy. Okay, that's number one. And you stated earlier, politics is a dirty game. They were going to crucify Biden on the national stage and publicly. We all saw the debate, right? And it wasn't the first time, but Biden mentally, he's very, very knowledgeable, but he's not able to express it enough to where he can be competitive out there on the main stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was gotten to the point where it was embarrassing. And as you know, in politics, they were going to just crucify him with that. You know, he was not stuttering, but he was very, very abstract, like all over the place with his thought pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So as a national person, you know, running against the GOP or a guy like Donald Trump, who is a dog eat dog street fighter, it was not going to work. And everybody saw that. It was not a knock on Biden. It was not even about pushing him out. It really wasn't. It was not about you got to go. No, they knew that, and the closest people to him knew that he had certain health issues that right now at age 81 is very prevalent. You can see it. Look how he walks. Listen to how he speaks. You know what I mean? And this is just not the time, I think, in our country's history to have a person with those, I call it, I won't say disabilities, but with those shortcomings out there battling a tyrant. You follow me? Mm-hmm. And that's why people were disillusioned with voting, like trying to vote for Biden.
So do you think that there was, I'm going to use, and I don't know if this adjective will apply, like a melange people. I was talking to someone and I said, you know, and I was using this again, I use a biblical reference, but I said that, you know, Sunday was like Lazarus rising from the grave when you look at the Democratic Party. because I could tell you it was on a death watch Saturday. I mean, let's just be honest with where we were. And I understand. And then the question becomes, how much sentiment should be involved in politics?
In today's environment, I think even Biden alluded to it a little bit in his speech. We don't have any more morality. There's no morals. There's no ethics in this game of politics today. I think America just follows the money, the green. They don't care about nothing, just the green. So now I think the Democratic Party has to, in my opinion, they have to go that route. They have to get down in the mud now and not fool with this here stuff. We're going to take the higher ground. We're going to do, because it's not happening. The country and Trump and the GOP have done a great job of doing that in the society now. You follow me? There's no such thing as good guys or this person's very moral conscious and all that. No, I see America has changed from that. And it started, believe it or not, I think when Obama came in office. But, so that,
really?
That's it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Look at it. It's black and white. It's black and white. I'm 67 years old. I've been around a while, and I can tell you.
Richard Nixon?
No, not Nixon.
No. I'm just saying when you were just talking about this change, it has always been questionable morality. FDR okayed the internment of Japanese during the Second World War. And the justification was we were at war. We were also at war with Italy and Germany, and Italy and Italians and Germans were not forced into internment camps. I mean, you could go, and that becomes the thing. It was interesting. I don't know if it was Mitra, someone was talking about the whole busing piece in Delaware when Joe Biden was running for Senate. As a matter of fact, that's where Kamala Harris went after him about, because he was against busing, right? And but he made a political calculation. I need to be against busing because suburban whites were against busing, right?
Correct.
And so he's counting votes. Now, is that one of those existential moments where, the world just tilted off his axis because he made that decision? No, but then at the same time, how it did have impact on the quality of education Black students were receiving in Delaware. So, I mean, I think, and so when I hear people talk about, I hear terms like morality and ethics. I don't know if that always applies in business, and I know it doesn't apply in business, but certainly in politics. And I'm gonna go out on a limb. Let me get controversial here. I would say the same thing in religion. I think that institutions, in and of themselves, are fraught to be human enterprises. That means we bring our humanity to whatever it is that we're doing. That could be good, that could be bad, but it's going to be human. And I think so. And then it's all relative. Like I was kidding yesterday when people were saying that it was God that had Joe Biden step down so Kamala Harris could step up. And I said, well, there's some people on the other side saying it was God that saved Donald Trump's life so he could go on and do a good for America. Are we going to put God in and saving God? You know what I mean? So it's the sentiment, it's the emotions.
Yeah. But also, with the same issue, it just depends on the timing. Because there's a couple of things with, like I said, the example of Biden going for rallying against busing, for that, or like the crime bill. It's where the moment is in time.
Right.
Because I said, he's trying to get votes. You take the crime bill. Oh, the Democrats signed off on this and they proposed this. Everybody in the country wanted something done about crime. So when they sit there and say, oh, Joe Biden signed off on it, did this and that. No. There's a whole group of white and black
half the Black Congressional Caucus supported that crime bill.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's always like a moment in time. But getting back, and the last thing I want to say is this on this. Biden also turned it over to, he knows that Harris is capable of winning. That's number one. He knows it's not hard to defeat Donald Trump. Technically, if you could stay on point, just stay on point and just get away from the noise. Donald Trump is not even a strong candidate, in my opinion.
Right.
You follow me? In my opinion. So the thing that I'm looking for out of Harris, stay on point, stay focused, and put him in his place. And be very clear when he's stating something that's not true, call it out. Don't just keep going, because that's what Biden couldn't do. In our neighborhood, we call it he couldn't check him. He couldn't check him.
Couldn't check him at all. And then let's go back, because you my age. Let's go back. It became self-check, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing more damage. And I know people don't. Let's move on. Nothing to see here. But I'm going. There were two images that I remember, and I told someone these last 3 weeks have seemed like 3 years. So much has happened in 3 weeks. It's kind of like when LeBron, I think once we got to like May of 2020, he said, "Can 2020 be over?" Because we lost Kobe at the beginning of the year. We get COVID, then we get it was just so much going on. And I have not seen this in politics. And I've been on this planet 67 years. They said it's ironic that the convention is going to be held in Chicago, right? Because everybody remembers what happened in 1968 in Chicago.
You're right. Yep.
So it's fascinating to me. I think that Harris has the advantage of a very shortened election season, right? Because if it would have been a year and a half out, the amount of damage that could have been done to her and her image and who she was, they just had more time, right? I think now this is being accelerated, and
now it's rehash,
right? And it seems that she's very disciplined. That was what I picked up when I was at the rally Tuesday, how disciplined she really is. She stays on point. She does what she has to do, and she keeps it moving. Here's the other thing that I think. She's brief, which is surprising for a lawyer. She is brief. I mean, she gets up, her speeches are 20, 22 minutes, understanding adult attention span, and then you just keep on moving. I think, so if she's able to do that, and then people go, but look, Michelle was already telling me that they were slut shaming her, talking about her past relationships. Again, Donald Trump lies when he gets up in the morning. So here's the lie he told, one of the probably 40 lies he told in his speech yesterday. He said that, she doesn't like people. She doesn't like Jewish people. And someone pointed out she's married to a Jewish man. Now, that's not to say some of my best friends, but I'm just saying, if you got a problem with a group of people, you usually don't marry someone from that group.
But sometimes you get to the point of just being ridiculous.
Right.
But there's a famous, there's not a famous, but my significant other's father, who's passed now, he always said, and I'm going to be real clear, he said there's a lot of non-smart people in the world, and the GOP have used that. There's a lot of non-smart people. So in other words, you could just say it 5, 6, 7 times, and they believe it, and that's their GOP mantra. They know who they're talking to. They know exactly who they're talking to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and then you might want to look at the demographic of people who have to support Donald Trump.
Yep.
And that might be telling in and of itself.
Yep. So, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for your insight.
Yep. Bye.
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning. I didn't push the button. My bad. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for accepting my call. I just have one thing to say. I believe Joe Biden, like the gentleman said, he's going to go down in history, as you stated too. As a president, had done great things. He had nothing to be ashamed of. But I like the way everybody just take it on as if they're a doctor and say he's not well. Everybody can have a bad day. Something you might look at me sometime, or I could look at you and say, geez, you like you're on your deathbed.
He's had a bad 3 weeks. He's had a bad 3 weeks.
No, listen. He came down with COVID.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a long flight trip? Like if you flew to Hawaii or to China or somewhere, that's taxing on you after you get older.
And it's really taxing on you when you're 81 years old.
And that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So yes, I saw I was out of town and I watched that debate that he had. And no, he was not himself. I saw that. But me being a friend of his, I would have talked to him in private. The whole world would not have to know that we're doing this. But all these 1, 2, 3 come out, this, that, and that.
They did go to him in private, though. They did go to him in private. No, they were going to him in the congressional leadership went to him in private. See, Nancy Pelosi had a private conversation. They didn't report that conversation to afterwards, because it's the famous line. She said, "Look, Joe, we're looking at some data here that's saying da 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 da." He said, "Well, I'm seeing something else." And then she said, "Put Donnelly on the phone." And she said, "Show me the data that you're looking at." They went to him in private. At some point, people kept saying there was no. It turned out there was no nice way that this was going to be done.
Okay, so my thing is, it's done now.
Okay,
it's done. But the guy that you guys got coming on at 6 from 5 to 7 or whatever time he comes on. Cass. Oh, he's Parris. Oh yeah, he's something else. It's something about us as black people. Don't want to see nobody step up. But the guy he was interviewing, he stood his grounds and said, "That's old news. It won't make it here and there." Calling her a whore and this, that, and the other. Number one, some women don't know how to do the bargain. And he said, "Well, a lot of white women aren't going to like that. A whole lot of white women have got to the top."
What is who she sleep with have to do with her being vice president?
Thank you very much. That was so cheap and ugly. I don't know.
All right, I think we lost her. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is the Reverend Dr. Andrew Ward. To Carmela, the question was asked, her position on reparations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to let the cat out the bag,
mm-hmm.
but her answer was magnificent. I hadn't heard it myself. I hadn't thought of that myself.
But Ward, can you turn your phone down? Turn your radio down?
Let me finish.
No, I need you to turn your radio down because you're getting an echo.
Did I do it?
Yeah, that's all I was doing. I'm not trying to.
All right. There's so much conflict as to who would get reparations. And her answer to her response to that question was magnificent. You can't argue with it. I would add one thing to it, and that is that the veterans who did not get their stuff after they came back from the war, their families should be awarded extra, and they know who they are.
And did you? It's interesting. Before you go, well, a couple of things. One, based on how some folks are talking about reparations, Kamala Harris would not be eligible for reparations because she's not descendants of enslaved Africans.
Well, her response covers that. Yeah. No argument with her response to that.
Right. All I'm saying is,
I don't want to say it.
But I'm just saying, so she wouldn't be eligible for something she'd be fighting for.
That has nothing to do with anything. That resolved the problem.
And then look, if you're a black politician who's a Democrat, of course you support reparations. What Democratic black politicians gonna come out and say that they're against reparations?
That was magnificent.
Okay, all right.
I never heard it before.
Okay. Well,
all right.
I'm just saying. I was talking to someone, and I have no empirical proof, but anecdotally, like in 2008, black Republicans voted for Barack Obama. He probably got 98% of the black vote, right? I mean that. So my point is that there's certain things that you just don't do. Like you don't go out and try to campaign against the first black man who has a legitimate shot at being president, right?
I understand that.
Because you're gonna be on the wrong side of history on that. Now, some conservative black folks jumped off the bandwagon in 2012 when he came out in support. He being Barack Obama came out in support of same-sex marriage. Then that gave a whole lot of, not a lot, but a significant number of black conservatives who said, "Oh, look, he came out and the social issues."
I would tell you in confidence what she said. You can Google it.
Okay.
When the question came up, she had a quick answer, and you can't argue with it.
Well, let me do a fact.
I'm gonna give you some surrounding
Okay.
She was saying, in regard to reparations, if you gave a tax credit to the poor people, which we are the majority,
Uh-huh.
they can't argue with that. That would get us and get shut everybody else up
Right.
to the poor.
Okay. Okay. Appreciate you.
All right.
All right. You'll listen to Community Voice. The phone lines are open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We're 4 days out from what is probably a historical moment. Joe Biden decided not to seek re-election. He anointed Kamala Harris to go and to run. He endorses her strongly, as Nikki Haley would say. So again, love to hear your thoughts. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Has your feelings or thoughts changed since the announcement on Sunday? Love to hear what you think. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. again, I as I said, I sat through the entire 1 hour and 48 minutes that Donald Trump spoke yesterday, and one of the things that he pointed out in his speech. They had for his speech. My wife was watching. Said, "Do I have on her hat?" Yes, I do have on your hat. Looks good. Matches the outfit. But anyway, he made an allegation. He being Donald Trump yesterday that that Kamala Harris had failed the bar exam, and so I want to get to that. But do we have a caller? Oh, hey, you're lucky caller number 8. Good morning, caller. How are you?
I'm fine this morning.
Good, good. You ready to play Let's Make a Deal?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right, here's what you can win. 2 tickets to the Black Arts Fest, MKE, Saturday, August the 3rd. 4 tickets to the Wisconsin State Fair. That starts next week, right? Okay. 2 tickets to the Harbor Park Jazz Rhythm and Blues Festival, Saturday, August 17th, featuring Jonathan Butler. That's down on the beautiful lakeshore there in Kenosha. Tickets to the Wisconsin Dells Park. An overnight stay, and you can't spend the night, at a Red Roof Hotel anywhere in the country, or nothing. Nada. Nathan. Nothing. So you have your choices of door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3.
Okay. I'm going to get the State Fair ticket. Door number 2.
Wow.
You sure
You sure
you're about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Unlike others, I don't cough when people win or lose. But anyway, you won 4 tickets to the Wisconsin State Fair.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, hold the line. Hold the line. We're going to get your information, okay?
Okay.
Hey, no, before you go though, what station made you a winner?
860 WNOV.
There you go. Got to do the shout out. Appreciate you. All right. So, again, yesterday in Donald Trump's speech, he went on to say that he was trying to. I'm not even going to repeat it, but he was in effect trying to say that Kamala Harris is not very smart because she failed the bar exam. So I went like, wow, did she? Now, here's the thing that people will do, and especially someone like Donald Trump. You can take a little bit of something and then turn it into something else. So I then went in and did a little research to see if, in fact, had Kamala Harris failed the bar exam. The answer to that question is yes. She took the bar exam in California. She failed it the first time, but over 50% of people who take that test fail the first time. Obviously, she was able then to go in and pass it on the second take. And so she is a member of the bar of the state of California. But then it kind of got to, well, was she the only one that ever failed the bar exam or failed it on the first time? And we come to find out that is a pretty illustrious list of Americans who have failed the bar the first time. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Franklin Roosevelt failed the New York bar exam the first time he took it, but it didn't stop him from trying again. He passed it in 1907, but dropped out of Columbia Law School years later and eventually became one of the most prominent presidents in American history. No question. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Although she did pass the Arkansas bar exam, Hillary never was able to pass the D.C. bar exam. This didn't deter her from carving out a successful career practicing corporate law for the Rose Law Firm. We heard about that. And later she became a public servant and served as Secretary of State, and she even ran for president. First Lady Michelle Obama, a graduate of Harvard. Michelle Obama initially failed the Illinois bar exam. Her life accomplishments were far from over. However, she eventually practiced intellectual property law at Sidley in Austin. Later, she made the name for herself as so she failed it the first time. Illinois. Kathleen Sullivan. She failed the bar exam when she was trying for a position for Quinn Emanuel, which must be a white shoe law firm in Los Angeles. After 10 years of hard work, she eventually became a named partner for Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan, and even became the dean of Stanford's Law School. John F. Kennedy Jr., son of President John F. Kennedy, Kennedy Jr. was both attractive and famous during his lifetime, being named the sexiest man alive in 1988 by People's Magazine. However, he failed the New York bar exam not once but twice. He eventually went on to work as a district attorney in New York City, but later left law and went into journalism. He then launched a successful political magazine, George. Governor Pete Wilson, former Republican governor of California and U.S. Senator, a San Diego mayor, and state assemblyman. Not many people realize that Governor Wilson had to take the bar 4 separate times, but before he finally passed the exam. So he took it 4 times and failed. Governor Jerry Brown, another influential California governor, failed the California bar exam on his first attempt. Governor Deval Patrick, despite graduating from Harvard Law School, Governor Patrick failed the bar exam twice before passing on his 3rd attempt. He later served as governor of Massachusetts for 8 years as the first African-American governor in the state. He is now a managing director at Bain Capital. Governor Charlie Crist of Florida, the former Florida Attorney General and governor, failed his first 2 attempts at the bar exam. Mayor Antonio Villarreal, the mayor of Los Angeles, had the misfortune of failing the bar exam 4 times in a row. Yep. Mayor Ed Koch. You may know Mayor Koch from a variety of his accomplishments, whether it will be his time serving as a congressman in the House of Representatives or as a lawyer. Yet he, too, failed the bar exam on his first attempt. He passed it on the second. Mayor Richard Daley, like many of the entries on this list, failed the bar exam multiple times, twice to be exact, but he still managed to serve as mayor of Chicago for 6 consecutive terms. Governor David Paterson. Governor Paterson also failed the bar exam, yet still became a prominent public servant. He was the first blind governor of New York. Harold Ford Jr. Harold Ford Jr. failed the Tennessee bar exam during the campaign for U.S. House of Representatives. Emily Pataki, daughter of former New York Governor George Pataki. She failed the bar exam on her first attempt, passing it on her second attempt. Pat Robertson, Christian Broadcasting Network. Like many who failed the bar, Pat Robertson felt feelings of humiliation and despair after failing the New York bar exam, despite graduating from Yale Law School near the top of his class. However, he later became a born-again Christian and made a name for himself as a minister and televangelist. Here's one that I did not know. I think she passed it. Kim Kardashian, the American media personality, model, and businesswoman, failed the California bar exam 3 times after she announced her dream of becoming a lawyer in 2019. She passed the California baby bar on her 4th attempt in 2021. I don't know if there's a difference between the baby bar and the regular bar. Becoming an attorney would have followed in the footsteps of her father, who gained fame. Her father was, what was his first name? Kardashian. He's famous for hiding OJ's luggage. So the idea, like the law, passing the bar is, and depending on what state you're in, like Delaware has one of the hardest bar exams in the country. So it depends on the state that you're in terms of the difficulty of that bar exam. When I was a college recruiter, and our school focused on business and accounting, and so you would look at other schools who were similarly focused on business and accounting. Stetson College, which is now Stetson University in Florida, had the best school for accountants because their pass rate was something like 65% first time CPA. There's a lot of people, everybody talk about accountants, but the CPA exam is very difficult. And half the people who take it flunk it the first time. So all we're saying is that, yes, Donald Trump, she failed the bar exam the first time, but more than half the people who take it failed it the first time. And then when you look at the prominent list of people who have failed the bar exam once, sometimes even 2, 3 times, right? So, and again, if you're talking about California, you're talking about New York, Delaware. These states have very, very difficult bar exams for people to file. Not my understanding here, and if there's someone out there who knows a little bit about this field, call in to correct me if I'm wrong. If you graduate from Marquette Law or University of Wisconsin-Madison Law School, if you're able to pass the whole character piece, you'll be admitted into the Wisconsin bar. Now, again, if I'm wrong, people can call me and let me know. But that was my understanding, that if you graduate from the University of Wisconsin-Madison Law School, or if you graduate from Marquette's Law School, that if you the whole character thing, you could be admitted in the bar without taking an exam. So again, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Not bad.
Okay.
Regarding passing the bar in the state of Wisconsin and from the University of Wisconsin, I have experience in the area. I didn't take the bar, but a close friend of mine did. And he was at Washington High School when I was there, probably in 75. He was presenting to the students his having received a law degree. He did not pass the bar. And being an attorney, he made an ignorant decision because you had to have a 75% average on the bar to graduate. When you graduate, you had to have a certain grade point average, and all he had to do was take another class and pull that up. It was a few points off, but he graduated before he did that, and it took him a long time if he ever got his law degree. So that was a ignorant legal decision, wasn't it? To stay on until you get the points and get your degree, get your bar, whatever you call it, accepted into the bar. Y'all have a good one.
Okay, thank you for that. Says Wisconsin residents who graduate from the University of Wisconsin Law School or Marquette University Law School may be eligible for a diploma privilege, which allows them to practice law in Wisconsin without taking the bar exam. To qualify, the graduates must meet the terms of SCR 40.03, which requires their school certify their legal competence, and the board of bar examiners to certify their character and fitness. Okay, so yeah, if you do, if you graduate, and I thought it was this issue of character and fitness, and I think the argument is that because you were studying in Wisconsin, chances are you're going to study a lot of Wisconsin law, and so then you should be abreast in Wisconsin law. So again, if you're a resident who graduates from the University of Wisconsin Law School or Marquette's University Law School, you may be eligible for diploma privilege. It's not an automatic admittance because there's the issue of character and fitness to be able to do that, and then that's up to the board of bar examiners. So it's a little bit different. All right. Appreciate that.
You have a good one.
Mm-hmm. Caller, welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning. I got a question. Can you help me understand why every time it comes to something like with this Ms. Harris, they talk about, oh, she prosecuted, so many black people, but they fail to realize it's not her job to save your soul. Her job is to prosecute, but they never talk about the actions of some of these people when they was out here on the streets doing this Negro sugar honey iced tea. Like when they build these prisons and stuff for these young juveniles, and they say, well, they don't need to be in there. They need to be close to their family. But when they was out in the streets doing that nigga sugar honey iced tea, they didn't give not one damn about their family. So I'm trying to understand when it comes to our black folks, they always want to talk about somebody being locked up, but they don't ever talk about it when they in that street with that Negroism. Could you help me understand that? Because I'm just trying to understand, like she posted that, oh, thou child, I shouldn't lock you out. And this is why we have these problems, because it really irritates me, because what usually happens, Mr. Parris, they wait till they beat down by life, they want to find Christ, and then they say, oh, I didn't find God, and I asked him for forgiveness. Well, see, you only asking God for forgiveness because he can't talk back. But you ain't went back to them people you gave PTSD and the people who worked 30, 40, 50 years, and they had to take a loss because you was on that Negroism. I mean, why? How long we gonna keep putting sugar on bull sugar, honey, iced tea? Because it's stinking very, very bad.
All right, man. Appreciate you. He got up to the line. He got up to the line.
That boy good. I thought for sure.
But he boy good too. But no, I think he raises a point that and again, I told you I listened to Donald Trump's entire speech. He was saying that she was locking up people who shouldn't be in jail. Really?
And there's some running around that should
be in jail, right?
Him included.
The vast majority of people who are in prison should be in prison. Are there some people who are wrongly in prison? Yes. But we can say that usually folks have committed the crime. Here's the other piece of it. We talk a lot about prison reform, but we never talk about, or we don't talk about as much, the families or the victims of those crimes, right? And the impact that it's had, like he said, on their lives, where your loved one was murdered, right? You look at the world a little bit differently, and though you might forgive him, and that's the other piece. Forgiveness doesn't not necessarily mean pardon. It doesn't mean that. I forgive you, but that does not mean that there are not consequences for the behavior that caused the need for forgiveness. And so I got that, and people say you should be compassionate and merciful. But those families who are going out there and they're struggling trying to get through that situation, and for some, they feel like there's more sympathy being given to the perpetrator of the crime sometimes than the victim of the crime. And so we have to be able to strike a balance between that. There are consequences for one's behavior, right? And I can forgive you, but that doesn't mean that the law is going to forgive you or exempt you, right? So there are consequences for the behavior, and society is not wrong in saying, now we need to be careful, because how do you differentiate between justice and vengeance? Are they the same thing? For some people they are, but vengeance could be a situation where now you just go over and beyond what the original crime was. I think that what we're seeing in Palestine right now is vengeance, right? That is vengeance. It is not, let's get the perpetrators of the crime. It is that, you guilt by association, pain, hurt, death by association. They're mindful or not as mindful that, when they're going in saying that they're killing Hamas, they're also killing innocent people. And I don't know who ended up, well, there were 50 members of Congress who did not go to Netanyahu's speech, that joint speech before Congress, or the speech before a joint session of Congress, by design. And this even gets into where right now it's been announced that Kamala Harris will probably announce her vice president pick within the next 2 weeks. And one of the names you hear, I think it's Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. Another name that you see, and he's out actually campaigning for the job, is Pete Buttigieg, who is the Secretary of Transportation. Okay, can we have an adult conversation? People say it shouldn't matter. I was talking to my buddy last night. But Pete Buttigieg, that would be a problem. That would be a problem because America is not ready. And as much progress as we think we have made, America is not ready for a descendant of immigrants and an openly gay man. Y'all tell me what you think, but I don't think America is quite ready for that. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and I don't think that Pete Buttigieg would not make a great vice president. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that for some people, that ticket would just be too much. You're listening to Community Voice. Tell me what you think. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. We'll take a break and be right back.
The Hustle and Grow Show, powered by the
I think you left out a candidate for vice president, and that would be Mark Kelly from Arizona, the senator.
That's my choice.
My choice also because not only is he a combat veteran, but he's also an astronaut. He's seen this planet from above. He knows how fragile life is, and I don't think he would be so aggressive towards Russia and China and towards the promotion of the wars in Ukraine and Israel.
Yeah, I think him, and I think is it Mark Cooper of North Carolina? Because it looks like they could put North Carolina back in play in terms of, because I think Trump won North Carolina by 1 point in 2020. So people say it's red, but it looks like it could flip. And I think that so either him but I like Mark Kelly. That was my first choice.
I would also like to shout out the family of the Sterners. Thomas Sterner, an old man, I think, who is passed on now, came down to Washington, D.C. and was a powerful influence on me as a young man. But I think he is from Wisconsin, and I'm speculating that he might even be from Milwaukee.
Okay. And where are you from originally?
I'm from Washington, D.C., my man.
Where'd you go to high school?
I didn't finish high school, got my GED. And
you started, right? Where'd you start?
I started elementary school in Southeast D.C.
Okay.
Turner Elementary, Malcolm X Elementary,
okay,
and then Johnson Junior High. And then they moved me to 2 private schools after that, which is where I met the Sterner family.
Okay. What was it, Carroll?
Not parochial, not religious high schools.
Okay.
These were sort of offbeat Montessori style schools.
I had a girlfriend from DC, and she was in a program called School Without Walls. And what that was she was so brilliant that while she was in high school, she was taking classes at GW, George Washington University. I think she took classes at Howard and American University. I went to school in Maryland, and I had classmates from DC. As a matter of fact, my roommate, who I found out had passed, him and his mom lived on 40th and East Capitol, right before you get to, is that Benning Road or Minnesota Avenue? So, yeah, just east of the river.
Thank you for the time,
Thank you, and thank you for listening in Germany, man. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Parris. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem. Good morning, Christopher.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. I was listening to you speaking about the candidate for the presidency, and I just want to ask for my personal disclaimer. I'm not a political person or whatever, so I'm just saying this personally. I don't think that Kamala Harris should choose an older person if she's younger, because if that's what they're trying to use against, or what they've used against, and then there's another thing, how it is being said, or what you all would all call a conspiracy theory, that Mr. Biden was nudged to step down.
Gently nudged, right?
Well, because for whatever reason, I don't know the intricacies, nor do I care. But I think that if Kamala Harris, I'm just gonna say it, I'm going for Kamala Harris. Now, if that messes up something, I don't know how me voting for her matters, but I'm voting for her. So I don't think ultimately that if they're trying to use age as some type of a disqualifier, then she should look for someone who is relatively around her same age, if not younger. Because I don't know how old she is. I don't know if she's a Gen Xer, but I know
she's
not
a Gen Xer. She's at the beginning of Gen X. I was just sitting, as you were talking about that, I was just thinking about she is a Gen Xer, because I think Gen Xers start about 64?
Well, I'm not from
64, 65. I know I'm at the end of the boom and I'm 57. So I'm at the end of the baby boom. That's it. That goes into like the early 60s. So let me ask you a question. Prior to what happened at 146 on this past Sunday, how enthusiastic were you about voting?
Oh, I'm going to vote anyway. I was like, you know why I'm voting? And because people do not take into consideration. Tupac Shakur had an unreleased interview with MTV about Donald Trump, and they never released it.
Okay.
And Tupac said in 1996, I think it was, or right before he was killed, that you shouldn't be surprised or don't be surprised to the effect that if you look up one day and Donald Trump is the president. He even spoke about Donald Trump becoming the president before the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke on Donald Trump becoming the president. So, I mean, I don't know. He was involved in whatever they do in that life, in the industry or whatnot, because I'm not participating in that. But all in all, I think that if she is to attract more younger people, millennials and what they call
Gen Xers. Her
she got
generation.
my vote.
Okay.
And I don't care who, the guy that's her husband. I don't got nothing to do with that.
Right.
But I think that if she wants to be successful, that she will be, because she's a breath of fresh air. And if they really want to see if America is really misogynistic and they are women haters, then this will be truthfully the ultimate test of that, because she is definitely qualified and she'll be able to prosecute her ability as opposed to a felonious opponent. Thank you.
414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. It says something then to the enthusiasm that Vice President Harris is engendering, because, and I would say this, Christopher represents folks, that's a tough audience, right? I mean, that's a tough group of people to move. And it seems that Gen Xers are getting on. And so that's significant. So when you hear people say they're passing the torch, symbolically, but literally, when you look at it, you go from a baby boomer and from the baby boomers to Gen Xers. So what's her name? I don't even know her name. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Who do I have on the line with me this morning?
This is Kenya Joyce from UNCF.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Happy Thursday.
Same to you. And again, you're with the United Negro College Fund. Tell us a little bit about the United Negro College Fund, just in case people don't know about this great organization.
Absolutely. We're so excited this year. The United Negro College Fund, for the past 80 years, this is our 80th year of supporting Black and Brown students in historically Black colleges and universities across this country. We are the leading scholarship providers for Black and Brown students to be able to successfully matriculate and complete college. And so we've been excited to do this work for 80 years, specifically within Milwaukee, 40 years. And so we're excited to be able to continue in this work to support our Black and Brown students.
Can you name a couple of UNCF schools that people may or may not know?
Absolutely. So we have a couple of schools. We have Morehouse and Spelman. We also have, North Carolina A&T, Central State University, and so many more of our historically Black colleges and universities, Tuskegee, so many historically Black colleges and universities that we are making sure that we're helping to be sustainable, safe spaces for our Black and Brown students.
I was waiting on Howard.
Howard is, yes.
Oh,
Howard
wait,
is
I would think that right now, based on what we got going on in America, Howard would probably be number one on the list. No disrespect to the other Hampton HUs,
Yeah,
but, you know, Howard is kind of the spotlight right now, right?
they are. They are. And, you know, I am a bison. Shout out to
Look
all
at
of our
you.
bisons out there.
My sister's a
Yes,
bison.
shout out. Oh, great.
My sister went to
Awesome.
Howard. Yep.
Yes, HU.
You know.
Exactly. So we do support a lot of institutions that are not public or getting public funding. And so that is pretty much like the stipulation, right? We'd love to support all HBCUs, but we primarily support those that are private and really need that additional funding to be able to sustain.
Why is it important that historically Black colleges not only survive but thrive?
I mean, oh my goodness, with everything that is especially going on around DEI, right? All of the shifts and changes that's happening in our country, I cannot express the importance of making sure that our students have a safe space in terms of identity, you know, growing professionally and personally, and again, where they feel safe. And historically Black colleges and universities, you know, created really for us, creating those safe spaces is extremely, extremely important in growing, right? And becoming successful, you know, individuals and human beings. And so it's really the time for us to pour into those spaces. It's an emergent need. And it's not to say that predominantly white institutions don't provide that, but we know historically a lot of the things that have happened around that identity piece not being supported for our Black and brown students. So again, this is an emergent need. We need to make sure that our historically Black colleges and universities are poured into and invested into to provide those safe spaces for our students.
Many people always associate UNCF with the walk run. Is there a walk run this year?
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. So this year in Milwaukee, our walk is on Saturday, August 10th. So it's coming up at 9 a.m. at Veterans Park. And you want to be there. Listen, this is the 40th anniversary of us doing the Walk for Education in Milwaukee. And we've been so fortunate for all of the support that we've received from Milwaukee. And we really need more support this year. Our goal is to raise $100,000 in scholarships specifically for students from the Milwaukee area. And so you actually can literally just go to UNCF Milwaukee Walk and sign up your team. It's $35 per person to sign up for the walk. We need Milwaukee to continue to show up and show out to help us raise scholarships for students in Milwaukee.
Are they still doing the teams? I know that I was a member of a congregation that did pretty well in terms of the team. So you always look for teams, but individuals too, right?
Absolutely. We look for individuals. We definitely look for teams. Shout out to all of our churches and individual groups, our D9 family in Milwaukee. Shout out to those that have really built really great teams. And I know you mentioned churches. We're really trying to maximize more of our church communities in Milwaukee. So if you are listening, we need you to gather all the saints at your church and come together and actually form a team. Again, it's $35 per person. We need your support to help us raise scholarships for our babies.
What's the distance?
So the distance is a 5K. So it is 5K.
Okay. That's about 3 miles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, about 3 miles. Exactly. It's doable. It is a walk run. So if you're a runner, you know, you can come. If you just want to walk and take your time, you can come. So this is literally for everybody. Everybody can literally be a part, no matter the age, you know, no matter the age. Everybody can be a part of this.
How important, over and beyond your fundraising, but when we bring young people down to be part of the march and they're exposed to graduates or alumni of historically Black colleges and universities.
Yeah, they are. I mean, our alumni support is extremely important, especially, within the HBCU network. I mean, you've already talked about, Howard University right now. Everybody's buzzing about the Bison community because of our potential next president, Miss Kamala Harris. Okay. And so this is a huge time for historically Black colleges and universities. And I've been so proud to see the HBCU alumni networks pull together, rally behind Kamala, and really rally behind the need for us to, again, get out and vote and be supportive in this election.
Well, I can't think of any better representatives of Howard University than, of course, you and Kamala Harris. My sister and all these other folks that I know that have gone. But I attended a small HBCU, so I know the importance of being able to have the economic support in order to get through. I mean, if you're sitting up worried about money, it's hard to focus on the books. And so anytime you can take that stress off, where then the student can fully focus on what he or she is there for, that is just an ultimate benefit. Again, if people want to register, can you give me a couple of numbers or websites they can go to register for the walk run?
Absolutely. You can literally just Google UNCF Milwaukee Walk. It's the first thing that will come up. And you go right on that site and you can register right then and there. Of course, you can also look us up at uncf.org if you want to see specifically our Chicago region. Our office is where you want to call if you have further questions. But it's super easy to register, y'all. Super duper easy. Just go ahead and go to UNCF Milwaukee Walk and register today. We really need you, and I appreciate Milwaukee's support.
Well, Kenya, we appreciate you. Thank you. And again, the UNCF Walk, that will be held August 10th at Veterans Park. You can go to UNCF, just Google it, and they'll take you to the website, and you can register for the walk run.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you so much, Doug. This was great.
Appreciate you, and thank you.
All right. God bless.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yep. Those of us who have attended historically Black colleges and universities, we know the importance of the work, and so we should support them. They pointed out that sometimes alumni of institutions, which means now I got to write a check to American Baptist, don't always support their alma mater. And certainly scholarships for young people who go to those alma maters. So this is our opportunity, plus to give you great t-shirts. All right. You're listening to Community Voice. Again, the phone lines are open, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Have a question or need how-to advice? Just ask Meta AI. Whether you need to
5250, 414-444-5250. And you might have heard the promo in the last segment. Faith, Justice, and Politics, a conversation around the intersection of religion and issues surrounding justice, and then again the intersection then those two entities have with politics. And so I'm hoping to put together, what's the word, an august group of thinkers, diverse in terms of either they're religious or even within Christendom, the diversity of that, and really talk about it. And you hear things like, from me anyway, things like the church, the Black church, have discussions about that. What does that look like? What is the role when it comes to issues of justice, of faith or religion? And then how does then that impact, or how does politics impact on issues surrounding justice? So I'm excited because I get a chance to have conversations with some very, 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 very bright, insightful, thoughtful people. And that's the great thing about having my job, is that I get a chance to have conversations with some of the most interesting people on the planet, including our callers. And so I appreciate that. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. I don't know if this is a rhetorical question. Does it make a difference who the person at the top of the ticket will select as their vice president? Again, the gentleman called from Germany, talking about Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly seemed to me, now this is really interesting because this is a DEI conversation, right? Now, the term that they used to do prior to 1992 was called ticket balance. So, for example, when John Kennedy ran for president in 1960, he had to balance the ticket in terms of being able to have someone on the ticket who might appeal to Southerners. In this case, it was Lyndon Johnson, right? That whole equation, because they talk about geography, you're looking at where you are in terms of the electoral college, how those states might line up, or what states you could win. Is it better to pick someone who represents or comes from that state? That's the issue with Mr. Cooper, Governor Cooper there in North Carolina, which is really fascinating when you watch the political science of all this that's going on, is that prior to Sunday, the best hope that the Dems had was that they would be able to they had to keep Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. If they lost any one of those states, Joe Biden would not be president. And again, I told you all, I'm trying to wrap my arms around it. But since Sunday, states that people thought might not be in play are now in play because of the top of the ticket. So you have a situation where now they're saying because Trump won North Carolina by 1 percentage point, that in effect North Carolina could be in play. So do you take the governor from North Carolina? The other piece is that Biden did win Arizona, but Biden was in trouble this time around in Arizona. It looks like, and again, especially if Vice President Harris selects someone like Mark Kelly, what that would do, because again, that would put Arizona back in play. The projected map is changing, and a lot of that has to do with President Biden deciding not to seek re-election and Kamala Harris being put to the top of the ticket. So, does it make a difference to you? 414-444-5250, 414, excuse me, of course, 414-444-5250. Does it make a difference who Kamala Harris selects as her vice presidential candidate? And if so, based on the names that you're hearing, is there anyone out there that you would say, yeah, and some of the people I know are very serious about this. A lot of them are leaning towards Mark Kelly. I mentioned Pete Buttigieg, who is an excellent public servant. He's done a great job at the Department of Transportation, really just had to come out and deal with Delta, right? Deal with Southwest when it comes to these flight cancellations and some of the changing in regulations that says now that if you cancel a flight, you have to refund the ticket, right? In the past, they give you a credit to fly later. They're saying you have the option to take the credit or, you get a full refund. So it's things like that. But I am not naive. And as progressive as I am, I realize that America is certainly not, in certain pockets of America, is certainly not as progressive as I am. I was talking to someone who's a Republican, and it's interesting how they have made progressive pejorative, negative, to be progressive. So if you're supportive of a woman's right to have autonomy and control over her body, if you are a person who supports same-sex marriage, if you're a person who says that there has to be certain things done in order to deal with climate change. Yesterday, either the day before yesterday, was the hottest day in record. It was 62.2 degrees. What did you say, 62.2? That ain't hot. No, what you do is you take the global average, and 62.2, the planet is heating up. As a matter of fact, I just heard on the way in that there might be some issues in Paris right now because of the heat and whether or not they're even going to be able to do the opening ceremony. So when people are saying that, there's nothing to see here with the climate, yes, it is. We're getting 100-year storms back to back. And so it is. And then at the same time, I hear, and again, I heard it in that 1 hour and 48-minute rambling yesterday where this was so ridiculous. Okay. And trust me, there's going to be some people going to repeat this. Donald Trump says that Kamala Harris wants to outlaw cows. I'll say it again for you. Kamala Harris says, Donald Trump says that Kamala Harris wants to outlaw cows. And then he said, what's next? People? Now, this is the same dude who says the Democrats believe that you should be able to have an abortion up until the third term and even up until after the baby is born. But then he got to back up and retract and go, but I'm with the three exceptions. What, rape, incest? There's another one. Rape, incest, the three exceptions. Life of the mother. Yeah. So I'm for that. Okay. But I still support 6-week abortion bans. So people, when you come out trying to sound aggressive, here's the other thing. And this dude is, first of all, he said that Joe Biden is going to go down as the worst president of all time. Where if you go right now and Google, and I'm going to Google it right now, worst presidents of all time, I bet you Donald Trump is on that list. So let me go out here and see. I could be wrong, but I think he might be on the list. Worst U.S. presidents. Worst U.S. Come on, why keep you an eye? U.S. presidents. Worst U.S. presidents in this century. Who is considered the worst president in U.S. history? Here we go. Who is the worst strongly? Okay. Now, this is according to Rasmussen. Okay, now that's not. Come on. Who is ranked the best president? Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so here are the best presidents of all time. This is according to C-SPAN. Abraham Lincoln is number 1. George Washington is number 2. Franklin Roosevelt is number 3. I kind of agree with the first 3. Theodore Roosevelt. Wow. Okay, let's go. We get down here. I don't see Obama. Where is Obama? Oh, let's see. Okay. So Wow. Where is Obama?
Well, wouldn't that depend on who?
Oh, there he is. Oh,
was
okay.
polled?
All right. Here we go. Oh man, I was getting ready to say, where's Obama? All right. So it's Abraham Lincoln, it's George Washington, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, Dwight Eisenhower, Harry S. Truman, Thomas Jefferson, John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, Barack Obama, Lyndon Johnson. Wow. I put Lyndon Johnson up there as one of the top.
What? How many was that cumulative?
That would be the top 10. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Barack Obama would be the 8th greatest president.
But you said Lyndon Johnson after him.
Yeah, right after him, he's 9, and then James Monroe is 10. Let's see. Ulysses S. Grant, Calvin Coolidge, Garfield, the worst president. Oh, okay. Donald Trump is not the worst president.
Is he on the list, though?
Oh, he's on the list. He's after William Henry Harrison, who I think only lived a week after he was elected president. I think that's the one. Franklin Pierce, Andrew Johnson, who just basically just did descendants of enslaved Africans. Andrew Johnson, James Buchanan. Donald Trump is the 4th worst president of all time. Donald Trump.
He's in the top 5.
Huh?
That's not a list you would want to be in the top 5 of.
Right. He would be the top 5 worst presidents of all time, following James Buchanan, Andrew Johnson. I mean, Warren G. Hardie is higher ranked than Donald J. Trump. I mean, Donald J. Trump is in the Willard Fillmore, John Tyler, William Henry Harrison.
This list compiled, though?
This list was compiled by C-SPAN.
Yeah.
And it's recent. Right? Biden is not part of it because I guess he hasn't completed his presidency.
When you say recent, is it prior to the 34 indictments or after?
Oh, this was his presidency.
Convictions, though.
No. This is his presidency. The 4 years he was in office.
I get it, but I mean, what are the determining factors? Would that have been factored in if it was done after the convictions?
No, and these were done in 2021.
Yeah, so it was prior to.
He
might have moved to the top of the list.
Yeah, we would have to see, but yeah. So when he sets up and says Joe Biden is the worst president ever, he's down there with again, he's in the bottom 4. And
I guess another thing is Joe Biden's name is not even in the top.
No, he wouldn't be listed because this is done in 21.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So,
whereas with the accomplishments, $35 insulin charges, and all of these socio-economical things that he's been able to accomplish, he and his administration, he probably would move up in that list.
Yep. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Again, the phone lines are open as we discuss. So again, I'd asked a question about, and then I don't know what the issue is going to be. The whole immigration issue is something that Republicans are running on. The interesting thing is that there has been a 25% drop of border crossings under Joe Biden. Someone pointed out that Trump was talking about, the wall, and somebody said, yeah, that wall you built is collapsing. So, so I think one thing that they're gonna try to run on is obviously immigration, the economy. Even though the economy is improving, there's a disconnect between the improvement of the economy and we're still dealing with high prices, right? And so when people go and, people always tell you all the time, isn't that James Carville who was in the reelection campaign for Bill Clinton back in the 90s? He said, it's the economy, stupid, right? So focus on that. And Bill Clinton was able to focus on a great economy. People did very well under Bill Clinton. But the downside of what was happening was also a situation where the Welfare Reform Act was put into law. The crime bill was put into law. And so there were some things there that, in terms of deals, that was cut. And remember, in politics, everybody talks about right and wrong and moral. People deal with what is political, right? What is political. And so that's where we are. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. The Olympics start tomorrow. They already actually started today. I think the opening ceremony is tomorrow. I mentioned that there's concerns about the heat. They're also concerned about the Seine River and whether or not it is too polluted for people to swim in. I think that there's some people, I don't know if it's triathletes. I mean, it wouldn't be triathletes. The decathlon, no, whoever had swimming, so there'd be triathletes, and what that looks like. Again, got a caller? Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, why would Donald Trump call somebody the worst president ever?
Because he's deluded.
Well, they don't know he's the biggest liar ever. He's got to be. He's got to be considered one of the biggest liars that ever was president.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know how anybody who I'm just tell me how dude who has been convicted of 34 crimes is still viable. I think that is the issue. Anyway, so Trump phone lines open 414-444-5250, 444-5250. My understanding is that I don't know if it happened last night. It's going to happen tonight. That there's another rally that happened last night for Devontae Mitchell. You know, I'm trying to figure out why is it taking so long to get these charges issued. And I was hearing where they're waiting on toxicology. So I'm this whole idea of how when it looks a certain way, justice doesn't seem to move as quickly as it is or as it was in other cases. I was a little concerned about Deneen Park and the situation that happened over in Deneen Park. I'm trying to figure out how such a large gathering of people, when the park closes at 10, would be in the park, and why that wasn't dealt with earlier. Now, maybe, I don't know if neighbors called to complain based on what they were saying. 17-year-old lost her life, it was a young lady, and but the houses were shot up. And I'm just curious to where was the police response? Now, I do remember a couple of years ago over at Midtown when all the kids had gathered over there for a party and they just almost 500 shots. And remarkably, nobody was hit. But I'm just wondering, you know, how that happens. And maybe because it was so late, the neighbors were asleep and they didn't even hear it in terms of over there until the gunshots rang out. But, you know, that's a problem. And I don't know. But again, how do you deal with that? With social media now, you get things like flash mobs. Well, all you have to do is post it out there and people know. We were talking about what happened over at the should I say the alternative Juneteenth event, where a young person was killed at the park. But my understanding was that there were rumblings out there in terms of that the possibility of this happening. And I don't know. I try to figure out why people, if you're just going to hang out, why you think it's necessary to have a firearm. If you're just hanging out, you know, you're just being peaceable. Why you would even have a firearm, and what it turns into.
All of them. Some of them leave home with stuff on their mind. They going out to find trouble.
And you know what? And I agree. I mean, and I hate to admit that there are folks like that because there's always been folks like that. I think we call them S starters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that, you go out and no matter what. And then the thing is, you're so selfish. You don't think about the impact that it has on everybody else because you're in your moment of passion and emotion and the whole thing. And then it just has impact. And then, of course, as you get older and you have a moment of sobriety, you're going, oh, man, what was I thinking? You weren't thinking. And so that's where, but I guess it happens. I don't know if it's human nature. I don't know if that's like a human character flaw. But as long as I can remember, I was so nostalgic when I'm down at Rose Park and I see the, when you all are doing a concert series. But the reality is that many of us can remember going to Garfield Park and having to shut down because somebody was clowning. Now, again, didn't have weapons. Now, that's really big difference. Didn't have the same firepower then that young people have today. But it was always, you go to see a show, we just chilling, and then all of a sudden some jumped up by the old building. Everybody remember the building had the terrace where you could look out. Yeah, you could look out over the park. But I can remember seeing the shy lights at Garfield Park. So but then, somebody gone. I don't know why people think. What I'm learning is I am not the most important person on this planet. And this is hard because I like to believe that I'm the most important person on this planet. But I am not the most important person on this planet. And that's tough. And I think that sometimes we just so into ourselves that we don't realize that we're sharing space with 7 billion other people. And that we should be mindful of that. Let's see. Someone texted me, said that the youngest daughter graduated, is a proud graduate of Howard University. And then someone also pointed out that, and I found out that Trump had gone to court to make sure that his academic records would not be released from the University of Pennsylvania. And so it's amazing when you hear people talk about, someone is da 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 da. And I understand. I know someone who's a proud graduate of the Wharton Business School, University of Pennsylvania. This young man has then gone on to get a MBA from Harvard University. But when I asked him, I said, Donald Trump is an alum. He said, we really don't claim him. But you know who's also a very famous alum of University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia? John Legend. John Legend is a proud alum of the University of Pennsylvania. Same school that Donald Trump. That's an amazing thing because you go to schools and who knows what that school is going to turn out. You don't. I mean, you really don't. And there's some questions about how much money was spent just to get him through school. And but for him to make it sound like he's the smartest guy on the planet, I wonder how do you fuel that? How do you just every day the level of narcissism? Someone said that they thought that, and he even kind of alluded to it.
It's got to be rough. Being around him every day and living.
Is it rough for him being around him?
No. I mean, anybody. Melania, she probably nuts.
I don't even think they're together. I think they are, but they're not. I mean, you haven't seen her on any campaign.
She's hardly ever
events.
Around.
She showed up for the convention. Right. But
she probably stays in one place and he stays elsewhere or on the road.
Yeah. I mean, what was she thinking when she married him?
Security, money.
Oh, look, I should say that. Hell, somebody married me. I should do that. I retract that, Your Honor. I retract that statement because people will look at me and go, well, hell, somebody married you. So yeah, I got that. I can see it then. Maybe Love is Blind. But this dude, whew, all right. As we're about to end another program.
Wonder how much she got paid.
Huh?
Wonder how much she got paid to marry.
She has I understand she has a very interesting nuptial agreement. So prenuptial agreement in terms of what she's able to do.
Was she a model or something?
Yeah. So, man, I'm trying to understand. And again, I mentioned it yesterday as this thing really solidifies itself, this thing being a campaign. My understanding is that they're going to do the nomination roll call on August the 1st right now, just to go in and to make it official that Kamala Harris will then be at the top of the Democratic ticket for president. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but the school board did appoint an interim director. Interim superintendent is the person who's right now who is acting, Mr. Galvin. There are some questions out there about the people who are doing the recall. And the question is where they're getting their money. Who is supporting them? And it seems that there's some money, there's a name that I've heard in terms of being able to support this person. They kept saying an anonymous donor because they had advertised, the recall folks had advertised if people got out and got the signatures, they could get paid for that. And someone has to pay it. But I think it's interesting that everybody talks about transparency. We haven't figured out yet who's bankrolling. At least with the teachers union, we know it's the teachers union. But I'm trying to figure out who this other group is. I got a caller. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Keith. Thank you very much for taking my call, you guys. I just wanted to follow up and offer an alternative hypothesis as to why the DA is not moving on the Devontae Mitchell situation.
Okay.
And this is a devious, deceptive game that is played at election time. And Keith, you'll appreciate this, but do you know who's running for DA right now?
Isn't there someone in his office?
Thank you. I mean that. Thank you for making my point. We don't even know who's running for DA.
Right.
That is my point. And the date that they are waiting for is August 13th. He has no one running against him, but there is the possibility of a write-in campaign to get somebody on the November ballot, and that can occur during the election coming up on August 13th. So we could write in a candidate with 500 write-in votes,
mm-hmm.
and thereby there would be somebody on the ballot, and it would force the guy running for DA to at least come on WNOV once. It would just be, it'd just be polite. But they don't think that way. What they're trying to do is they're running out the clock until August 13th, and then Ken Laverne is a lock for the DA. So these are devious, deceptive games that are being played. And Keith, secondly, you mentioned Washington Park. We need a full, wide, open eye look at what happened at Washington Park.
Mm-hmm.
Because on Juneteenth Day, the Sheriff's Department put 21 undercover officers in that park. This is all exposed at the public safety meeting from June 21st of this year, if anybody wants to look at that. It goes into detail as to what the sheriff and the police department were doing because Von Mays was running the show. They got people to remove their philanthropic money from the event, thus, limiting the number of people that you could have, security and so forth and so on. And then on top of that, the sheriff put undercover officers into the event without telling anyone. and Milwaukee police were also involved. And then when the committee asked for some information, the sheriff's department did not have the decency to even show up. So there is so much going on, and a person lost their life. This was a setup, in my opinion, and it needs to be looked at very intently. And I really appreciate your time, but man, this stuff is going on, and I'm just going to say this, Keith. You black people are too nice. You are not devious enough. You do not understand how this goes on in the white community.
I think we got a pretty good understanding. We feel the effects of those things going on. I didn't even realize that he's running. I think he's running unopposed. He being Kent Laverne. He's running unopposed on the Democratic side. I don't know if there's anybody running on the Republican side. I've already voted.
Nobody.
Right. So then, but what would be the benefit of him waiting to after the election in order to bring the charges?
Because there's only one way that he can have an opponent come the fall election. And the only way is if something happens between now and August 13th. We need a candidate. We need somebody's name to write in. And you can write that in under the Constitution Party or the Green Party or the Libertarian Party. I don't care what party you pick. But we need somebody to be running against this guy. So at least he comes to the station and says hello. I mean, has anybody seen Chisholm in the last 4 years?
No, we saw Teddy, though.
Thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate you. Let me thank everybody for being part of the program today. Let me thank Miss Kenya Joyce. Do I have any other guests? Just the callers. Debo, Carvin. Appreciate you. Michelle Bryant, as always. Hey, good Lord willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.
Thank you.